Welcome to Inspiration Junction, your go-to channel for uplifting stories, dramatic turnarounds, and moments that ignite your spirit. We deliver detailed narratives and inspiring content to motivate and captivate you. If you enjoy tales of resilience and brilliance, hit that subscribe button and join our community for more exciting videos every week. Now let's dive into today's story. A shocking live TV moment where Karoline Leavitt walks out on Stephen Colbert, leaving the audience stunned in a dramatic showdown. This is a fictional account crafted for entertainment, so let's get started. The Ed Sullivan Theater was alive with energy, the iconic stage of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert bathed in vibrant lights as the audience settled into their seats. The colorful backdrop of blue, orange, and red panels, accented by brick walls and lush plants, set a familiar scene for the night's show. Stephen Colbert stepped out, his navy suit sharp and his glasses catching the spotlight as he flashed his signature grin. The crowd erupted into applause, their cheers echoing through the historic venue. He waved, took his seat behind the desk, and adjusted his tie, his voice booming with enthusiasm. "Welcome to The Late Show, everybody," he said, the audience roaring in response. "We've got a big night ahead, and joining us is Karoline Leavitt, a rising political commentator and former White House aide. Let's bring her out." The crowd clapped as Karoline Leavitt emerged from the wings, her presence commanding attention. Dressed in a tailored black blazer and skirt, her blonde hair styled in loose waves, she carried herself with the confidence of someone accustomed to the spotlight. She smiled politely, shaking Stephen's hand before taking her seat on the guest couch. The audience's applause was mixed, some cheering enthusiastically while others clapped with reservation, aware of Karoline's polarizing reputation. The stage was set for what promised to be an intriguing interview, but the tension simmering beneath the surface hinted at something far more dramatic. Stephen leaned back in his chair, his smile warm, but his eyes sharp. "Karoline Leavitt, welcome to The Late Show," he said, his tone friendly. "You've made quite a name for yourself. Former White House press aide, now a vocal political commentator, and a lightning rod for controversy. Let's start with something light. You've been on the road a lot lately, speaking at events. What's it like being in the public eye, especially with such divided opinions about you?" Karoline nodded, her posture straight as she responded. "Thank you for having me, Stephen," she said, her voice steady and measured. "It's been a whirlwind, but I'm passionate about speaking up for what I believe in. The public eye can be tough. There's a lot of noise, a lot of criticism, but I focus on the people who support my message. That's what keeps me going." The audience clapped politely and Stephen nodded, though his smirk suggested he was warming up for something bigger. "I get that," he said, leaning forward. "But let's talk about that message. You've been outspoken about some pretty controversial topics: immigration, election integrity, government spending. You've called the current administration a disaster and accused them of rigging the system. Those are strong words. Can you back that up, or is this just political theater?" The crowd murmured, sensing the shift in tone, and Karoline's expression tightened slightly, though she maintained her composure. "It's not theater, Stephen," she said, her voice firm. "I've seen the data. Border crossings are up, inflation is hitting families hard, and there are serious questions about voter fraud that haven't been addressed. I'm not here to play games, I'm here to speak the truth, even if it's uncomfortable." Stephen raised an eyebrow, his grin widening. "The truth, huh?" he said, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "Let's unpack that. You talk about voter fraud, but every major study, Stanford, MIT, even the Heritage Foundation, has found no evidence of widespread fraud in the last election. And on immigration, the numbers show border crossings have been a challenge for decades under both parties. So, Karoline, isn't this more about fear-mongering than truth? Sounds like you're just parroting talking points to stir up your base." The audience gasped, a ripple of tension spreading through the room. Karoline's eyes narrowed, but she kept her cool, her hands folding neatly in her lap. "That's a misrepresentation, Stephen," she said, her voice calm, but edged with steel. "I've cited specific cases, hundreds of documented instances of voter irregularities that deserve investigation. And on immigration, The current policies have led to a surge that's overwhelming our resources. I'm not fear-mongering. I'm calling for accountability. If you want to dismiss that, fine, but don't pretend you're above the fray. The tension was electric, the audience hanging on every word. Stephen leaned back, his smirk fading into a more serious expression. Accountability? He said, his tone sharpening. That's rich coming from you, Karoline. You worked for an administration that was called out for its own lack of transparency. Tax returns hidden, meetings off the record, ethics complaints galore. And now you're out here playing the morality card? Frankly, it's a little pathetic to watch someone with your track record act like a crusader for truth. The studio fell silent, the audience stunned by the directness of the insult. Karoline's face flushed, but she didn't flinch. She took a deep breath, her gaze locking with Stephen's, and then she spoke, her voice clear and unwavering. Stephen, I've faced tougher critics than you, she said, her words cutting through the silence. You can throw insults, but they don't change the facts. I've been transparent about my work, and I've fought for policies I believe in. You sit here, mocking me from behind your desk, but you don't have the guts to have a real debate. If this is how you treat your guests, I don't need to be here. The crowd erupted, some cheering, others gasping as Karoline stood, smoothing her skirt with a deliberate calm. Stephen's jaw dropped, clearly caught off guard, and he scrambled to respond. Whoa, Karoline. Come on, he said, his voice a mix of surprise and defensiveness. This is a talk show. We challenge people here. You can't just walk off because you don't like the questions. Karoline turned to him, her expression icy. I'm not walking off because of your questions, she said, her voice steady. I'm walking off because of your disrespect. I came here to have a conversation, not to be your punching bag. Good night, Stephen. With that, she strode off the stage, her heels clicking against the floor as the audience erupted into a mix of cheers and boos. Stephen sat frozen, the cameras lingering on his stunned expression as the show cut to commercial. Backstage, the production team buzzed with chaos, producers shouting over each other as they tried to manage the fallout. Karoline's team gathered around her offering support, while Stephen's staff huddled in a corner debating how to salvage the segment. She just walked out on live TV, one producer whispered, her voice a mix of awe and panic. This is going viral. Stephen ran a hand through his hair, his expression a mix of frustration and disbelief. I didn't expect her to bail, he muttered. She couldn't handle the heat. On social media, the reaction was instantaneous. Clips of Karoline's walkout and Stephen's stunned reaction spread like wildfire, with hashtags trending within minutes. Some praised Karoline for her boldness, with one tweet reading, Karoline Leavitt just owned Stephen Colbert, walking out was iconic. Others sided with Stephen, arguing that he'd asked fair questions. She couldn't handle the truth, and bailed, another user wrote. The debate raged, with pundits and commentators joining the fray across networks. In the days that followed, the incident became a cultural moment, dissected on every major outlet. Karoline appeared on other shows, defending her decision with poise. I'm not here to be disrespected, she said in one interview. If Stephen wants to play games, he can do it without me. Stephen addressed the walkout in his next monologue, attempting to diffuse the situation with humor. Well, I guess Karoline Leavitt doesn't like my brand of comedy, he said, drawing a laugh from the audience. In all seriousness, I wish she'd stayed. We could have had a real conversation. The clash lingered, a testament to the power of live television and the unpredictability of public figures. It sparked debates about respect, accountability, and the role of late-night shows in political discourse. For Karoline, the walkout solidified her reputation as a fierce advocate who wouldn't be silenced. For Stephen, it was a rare misstep, a reminder that even the sharpest hosts could push too far. The story left Inspiration Junction thrilled to share this dramatic tale. What did you think of Karoline's walkout? Let us know in the comments. We read everyone. Like this video, subscribe for more uplifting stories, and we'll see you next time.